Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going back in time to a press release from January 26, 2023. This is a press release that I think we talked about a little bit on Palantir Weekly, but we didn't dive into it. And the reason I'm going back to it is because this press release is one of those that went undernoticed, and it's starting in my head to become more important because everything we've seen happen with healthcare. Since January, we've learned that Palantir powers 13% of hospital beds in the United States. It's a pretty big deal. If you have about 100 million hospital beds, Palantir software powers 13% of them. We had a CNBC piece come out, a 20-minute investigative piece that was really just amazing, that said Palantir worked with two major clinics, Tampa Bay General Hospital and the Cleveland Clinic, in 2021 in the summer. They did a ton of R&D for 2 years with their forward deployed engineers and came up with the best way to build modern healthcare operating system softwares for those clients, and have been able to use that R&D to expand in a variety of different places when it comes to healthcare. And and I think a lot of that due diligence helped them to get to the point where they're now bidding for a $611 million contract from the NHS. Palantir, along with that, Shyam Sankar, the CTO of Palantir, has called the company the most underrated healthcare startup or undervalued healthcare startup on the planet. This press release with Cardinal Health is what we're going to go through today, January 26, 2023. A lot of what you're going to read inside of this press release as we go through it is going to be very interesting in the context of what we now know Palantir is doing with healthcare. And I think the healthcare opportunity is just so absolutely massive for Palantir that a partnership like this is important to discuss. Cardinal Health teams up with Palantir to deliver a clinically integrated supply chain solution. Now, real quick, what is Cardinal Health? If we Google them right here, Cardinal Health is a healthcare company. Let's just look at this real quick. They are a public company, CAH. Revenue is $162 billion. Headquarters are in Ohio. So it's a pretty big healthcare company. They deal with logistics, services, all that stuff. They have different healthcare facilities, clinics. They're in the healthcare world, right? This is what they do. So let's get into this right here. Cardinal Health and Palantir today announced they are designing a solution that will give health systems and hospitals dynamic purchase decision insights in order to quickly improve their bottom line. In a nutshell, hospitals need to order things immediately, whether it's needles or gouges or all these types of things. If you have data to drive the decision-making process on that purchasing, you have a better chance to save money and have more impact for your clients. The Cardinal Health solution, which will be integrated into Foundry and eventually, I'm assuming, AIP, Palantir's industry-leading operating system, will deploy AI and machine learning to bring together diagnosis and clinical data with real-time customer purchasing and consumption data for pharmaceutical products with best-in-class data and privacy protections. That right there is Palantir's Foundry. This is why AIP was so easy to bring to the market, because that essentially is what the market is looking for. You just slap an LLM on top of that, and then boom, because you've got the integrated ontology and everything in the back end, all you have is a user interface. So now instead of going into Foundry, you go through AIP, you type in whatever you were thinking of trying to research or trying to check in the software, and you get an answer with seconds. And that's the magic of AIP, but that's also the beauty of why Palantir was able to launch so quickly and is likely going to be able to upsell their clients so easily on this stuff because they're already using it. I mean, where they're using AI and ML to bring together diagnosis and clinical data with real-time customer purchasing and consumption data, boom, you slap an LLM onto that, and now it accelerates it by 100x. So I think that's, why AIP was so important for them to launch immediately. Future iterations of the tool are expected to help inform purchasing decisions or therapeutic utilization, reimbursement insights, and predictive drug inventory needs to help further improve the connection between health system purchasing and supply chain support. Quote by one of the VPs at Cardinal Health: "We are taking a proactive role in pharmaceutical decision support to provide support to our customers as they continue to manage rising drug expenses, supply chain volatility, and continued drug shortages. By utilizing Palantir's platform, we are working to reshape the pharmaceutical supply chain with innovative processes, productive and products and solutions to improve access to critical medications and streamline pharmacy inventory management. As hospitals balance increase in drug expenses due to the growth of specialty therapies and biosimilars, health systems are struggling to right-size pharmacy inventory together with constantly evolving payer formula updates. Cardinal Health's data-driven solution will mitigate some of these challenges by analyzing real-time clinical and purchasing data to effectively create a clinically integrated supply chain for pharmaceuticals." Essentially saying what drugs are selling, what drugs are not selling. Can we combine that with the variables around the drug prices and the expenses that we have going up? And then can we come up with insights in an integrated operating system, which is again what Palantir is creating for entire clients, but more importantly for entire industries, operating systems for how their software interacts with the business intelligence they need to get the ball moving in the right direction, to be able to make better decisions. And it seems like this is an interesting thing that Palantir is doing with Cardinal Health. Shyam Sankar, CTO of Palantir. At the time, he was the chief operating officer. Now he's the CTO. Our partnership with Cardinal Health further shows our commitment to improve patient outcomes across the full healthcare value chain and Palantir's ability to create resilience within the complex challenges of supply chain uncertainty. Remember, when the war in Ukraine happened, one of the first things Shyam Sankar said back in May of 2022 was, we are helping companies work with their supply chain, because when they had to leave Ukraine or they had to leave Russia, their supply chains flipped overnight, and Palantir software was there to help. We're excited to work with Cardinal Health to achieve their mission-critical objective of expanding access to the medications patients need by utilizing the software built to handle the toughest problems. A leader in data and analytics industry, Palantir launched its health and life sciences divisions in 2020. Since then, the company has continued to support federal, public, and private organizations and is a proven leader in delivering mission-critical software across the public health data supply chain. Now think about that. Health and life sciences from Palantir was introduced in 2020. By 2021, so let's look at the timeline here. In 2020, the pandemic happens. And obviously, I think the reason they introduced life and health sciences as like a commercial product before they went public around April, May, when the pandemic was out, is because they realized this is the moment for our software to be battle tested against one of the most catastrophic, crazy things that has happened, which is a global pandemic. The United Kingdom gives them $35 million and they power the entire vaccination protocol of the UK. The United States is all powered by Palantir in terms of their vaccine distribution software. So Foundry immediately finds itself in the crosshairs of healthcare, and one of the biggest healthcare issues we've had in the past 100 years. Okay, that happens in 2020. 2021, they're working with Tampa Bay General and Cleveland Clinic and basically figuring out how do you create a healthcare operating system. Now, they were working with hospitals and healthcare institutions before 2020, but not at the level at what they're doing right now, right? It was kind of plug and play a little bit here, there. People don't remember this. They had a PR in December 2021 with DuPont Therapeutics, which was a drug discovery play. And maybe I'll revisit that a while ago, but it was one of those niche PRs they had a long time ago. So they've been inside of pharmaceuticals and drug discovery and now the supply chain, the healthcare supply chain. But within a year, they're working with two major institutions in healthcare. And then in 2022, you've got all these different little healthcare deals starting. And in 2023, you team up with Cardinal Health. And now you're on track to potentially get a $500 million deal from the NHS. Healthcare is one of the biggest opportunities for Palantir, along with energy. If you think of Palantir as a software for an operating system, in a software that is an operating system for an industry, you then just have to think which industries are expanding and how are those industries going to change with data integration over the next 20 years. And if supply chains become an issue for hospitals and healthcare administrations, which there's a variety of different variables that implicate how supply chains operate, and you have software that can solve those issues. If nurses aren't going from spreadsheets, but they're going to, more data-driven decision-making in terms of how they can check up on their patients, how they can see real-time data, that's another implication of Palantir software. If you've got Sampo Holdings, which is the biggest insurance company in Japan, that has a lot of nursing homes where they take care of people who are elderly, being able to monitor in real-time sleep data using Palantir's Foundry software to be able to see why people are sleeping so much and are they taking the right amount of drugs and see that data in real time. You're looking at healthcare as this just, to me, gigantic opportunity that is primed to be disrupted with digital transformation and data-driven operations, basically operationalizing the workflow from the supply chain to the nurses, to drug discovery, to taking care of patients in real time. All of these things can be powered by something like a Palantir Foundry and an AIP. The question becomes, can Palantir capture that market? And I think, this is the exciting thing about analyzing Palantir as it's a $30 billion company right now, is like, if you think they have the potential to do that, that's where you're kind of betting over the next 10 years when it comes to healthcare. That is the prime opportunity for them to do something like this. Cardinal Health is a massive institution. $162 billion in revenue. They have their fingers in the healthcare ecosystem. And for them to decide to partner with Palantir to make an operating system versus any of the other SaaS players means that they're seeing value in actually working with a platform that has the technology and the capabilities to execute on the tasks, but also has the R&D from years ago to know what these hospitals want. That CNBC article was so important when they did a deep dive on healthcare, because they basically said a lot of Palantir forward deployed engineers failed for the first couple of months because they couldn't figure out or assess the needs of these clients in a more meaningful way. Once they figured out what they needed to do, it was much more easier because of that failure to be able to build something that actually works. And that goes back to this whole consulting model is actually part of the moat, because the R&D that's created from consulting creates a network effect in terms of now being able to help clients in the future, because you already solved the problem. Like, the reason we got this Cardinal Health partnership is because for the past 2 years, we figured out what hospitals need. We figured out what supply chains need on a global macro scale. You put those two together, you get some smart people, slap it onto an institution like Cardinal Health, you're good to go. And now what's the next institution? What's the next hospital? What's the next country? Getting this NHS deal will, I think, solidify the healthcare opportunity. And then it's just a question of how many hospitals in the world, how many healthcare institutions in the world, how many countries that have socialized healthcare systems in the world could potentially use something like Palantir. So healthcare is an exciting opportunity, and I wanted to go back to the Cardinal Health partnership since now we know, or we have a little bit better of understanding of how important healthcare is. It's important to look back at some of those early PRs and see what they were trying to do a couple of months ago and see if that can come to fruition over the next couple of years. So those are my thoughts. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Let me know your thoughts on Palantir and healthcare. I'll see you guys in the next one.